We're reviewing the Bresser 5 megapixel game camera. This camera is for sale at Walmart. We got it, I think, at walmart.com for 30 bucks with a micro SD card, so dirt cheap. The reason we're reviewing cameras is because we hunt public land most of the time, and a $150 camera, that's a lot to take and set somewhere and get eaten by bears or stolen by other hunters, which we've had both happen. We've had 3 out of 4 killed by bears in the last couple years, so they just come up and they'll sink their teeth through the sensor or the screen, or just crunch the box apart, or just in one case they took it off the tree and just took off with it. We searched good and couldn't find it. So if you hunt a place with a lot of bears or where there's a lot of other hunters, you probably need a cheaper game camera unless you got more money than I do. So we're going to review several game cameras and tell you what we think about them and whether or not they might be right for you. The pros of this game camera, other than being very inexpensive, this is the most inexpensive camera we were able to find on the internet. We bought 2 of them and we tried 2. One probably going to be sent back. We couldn't get it just to work properly. This one, perfect. It really worked well for us. Pros of this: it's a lightweight. The batteries lasted a long time. The battery on this thing took 13,500 pictures when we had it out. It was very cold when we had it out. It didn't seem to run the battery life down like it does with some cameras. It was the screen on the front right here. You don't need a reader, SD card reader. You can go up and there's 2 buttons inside here. You just mash these buttons here and it takes you through all the pictures. You can actually see it good enough we could count points on a buck, just right there on site during daylight hours. So some reflection on the screen, it was still clear enough to count points on the buck. The night vision was good also. It took good daytime and nighttime pictures. So those are the pros. The cons, it's motion activated. So much like the very first game camera I think we ever had 10 years ago, it's not body heat activated. If you get a limb in front of it, anything within real close to the camera, 10 feet or something, and the wind hits it, it's going to shake it around and it's going to start snapping photos of nothing, just limbs. Also, if you put it on a small tree and that tree starts wagging in the wind, moving back and forth, it's going to be taking pictures. We have a Bushnell camera. Of course, it's expensive. It was like $150. It doesn't take pictures like that. It only takes pictures when something with body heat goes in front of it. The other thing, it has no date and time stamp. Although we have called the company and they've said they're coming out with a new model with a date and time stamp that won't be much more expensive. That's going to fix pretty much the biggest negative with this. 1 out of 2 was bad. We are going to send 1 back. But for the price, this is, like I said, the cheapest game camera on the market, and the one that worked surprisingly well. Now, who is this game camera for? If you're hunting in a thick area, and especially on public land where you're not supposed to be cutting limbs, it's probably not for you. It's hard to find a place where there's no limbs within 15 feet and on public land unless you're over a field. If it's over a field, there's a good chance you're going to get it stolen. So a private land hunter that has a food plot, that's who this game camera is just going to shine for. Set it up on the food plot with nothing in the way, and it's going to take pictures pretty much every time a deer goes in front of it. It's got a good response time. The trigger works well on it. I'd say it's one of the faster trigger speeds we've had on a camera. When we get a deer coming in, usually you didn't get the tail end of it. You got the whole deer in the picture, usually in the center of the frame. So if you've got a food plot or something like that, it's going to work really, really well for you. Other than that, I think we're going to keep looking for something that we're going to use on public land where there might be some limbs and stuff in the way. Maybe something that's body heat activated.